Hey guys, welcome back to Marketing Success Season. I hope everyone is refreshed and feeling good because our next keynote speaker, Sharon Guy, is going to dive into how AI and automation are changing the rules of e-commerce and how you can better prepare for the holiday season. So help me please welcome Sharon.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. Hi everyone, I'm your next presenter, Sharon Guy, and I'm so excited to tell you all about how we can use AI and automation to revolutionize the customer experience for e-commerce. So, I'm gonna first start off with an imagination exercise. So if you can all close your eyes for me for a hot second and just imagine this day in the future. And it's also Tuesday morning, just like we are today, and you're holding a hot cup of coffee at home. You're about to step outside to get a bit of sunshine. You open the door, you look up, and there's a friendly neighborhood drone here to deliver off a package to you. It's from The Shop, your favorite e-commerce store. In this futuristic world, The Shop is akin to a company like Amazon, a company that knows your needs and preferences so well that you never actually need to go to theshop.com to order anything or visit its mobile app. The Shop will simply hire drones to deliver off products and packages right to your doorstep. Oh, and I shouldn't forget to mention that in this futuristic world, there is no return policy because The Shop's algorithm never fails. Ooh, a little unsettling, right? You might think that sounds absurd, like science fiction. And okay, yes, it is. It's the first chapter of a sci-fi novel called Quality Land. But by the end of our session, you might think that this scenario is not as far-fetched as we might think. So today I'll walk you through some major trends in AI for e-commerce. And no, not about drone deliveries, though that is happening in some cities. I'll introduce some tools we marketers can use immediately, especially for the upcoming holiday season. And finally, I'll share some frameworks that help us adapt to disruptive tech so we can stay ahead to changes in customer behavior and technology. Now, a little bit about me. I'm an author and keynote speaker specializing in AI and e-commerce. I've worked with Amazon's largest third-party sellers, helping hundreds of brands prepare for peak sale periods. I also spent some time at Alibaba, particularly with this company called Tmall, which is often called the Amazon of China. 2 years ago, I published a book called E-commerce Reimagined, where I documented a lot of the things I learned in this competitive and highly innovative market. So when we compare the total economy where the US leads with the e-commerce market or the consumer market, you'll notice that China's consumer base is massive. If we were to replace that word beer with any other product, be it cosmetics, groceries, clothing, that bubble for China will still be the largest one. And the reason for that is simply a difference in population. China is about 4 times that of the US, so with so many consumers, there's a lot of brands. And with so many brands, there's more competition. And the golden rule in business is that competition drives innovation. So that's why I wrote my book, to share insights from this highly dynamic market. And this is important because no matter where in the world you're joining us from, but do let me know where you are joining us today, it's becoming harder and harder to impress your customers. Our customers are all kind of becoming little Simon Cowells. We're all adopting his scowl. There's a lot of brands out there with beautiful aesthetic or next day delivery or excellent customer service, but our customers are still not impressed. So how can we connect better with them? Well, maybe you can borrow some concepts within AI. And no, it's not about being like that penguin over there and letting ChatGPT do all the work. From an industry perspective, here's 3 major things that are happening. And you might have seen some of these words float around recently, but today we're going to define all of them. So first up, computer vision. It's the ability that enables computers to interpret, analyze, and understand visual information from images and videos. And I'll give you an example. So a couple of weeks ago, I was shopping for some new glasses because I got a new prescription. Yes, I'm getting blinder and blinder because I'm using my phone a little too much, but that's another story. Even though I was just a mile away from my closest Warby Parker store, I still wanted to shop in the comfort of my own home. This is customer behavior that has remained with us since COVID, where we want to experience and interact with brands where we are the most comfortable. Luxury brands have used this tech very well in China. This is footage from the luxury pavilion within Tmall. Check out my Armani watch and my off-white shoes. This is called virtual try-on, where it really helps with conversion and imbuing trust with the end customer, especially if you're selling a high-ticketed item in your e-commerce store. Next, we have visual search, where we allow shoppers to snap a picture and find a look-alike outfit or product. You'll see use of this platform in platforms like Shein and ASOS. And computer vision is also used in physical retail stores. I recently had the chance to travel to Norway, where some of their stores above the Arctic Circle are completely cashierless. So the only way to get into the store is if you swipe your credit card and agree for your face to be scanned before you enter. And that's a way for them to prevent things from being stolen. Here is some footage from my store experience. Next, you might have heard about something called machine learning. These are algorithms that enable computers to learn from and make predictions based on existing data. The most famous example for the use of machine learning in retail is Target. When Target statisticians sent these coupons to some 16-year-old girls meant for pregnant mothers. And there was a huge PR scandal when this happened. A lot of fathers were very angry, asking Target, "Why are you sending these coupons to my girls?" And a couple of months later, it was revealed that these girls were indeed pregnant. So how was Target able to know that these girls were pregnant before their fathers? Well, it's through their prediction based on existing data. By analyzing data, such as buying unscented lotions, certain vitamins, and certain products, Target's algorithms could predict when a woman was likely to be pregnant even before she publicly shared the news. This is how we use personalization in e-commerce. And what is personalization? So take this storefront for example, by this brand called Pop Mart, which is right now a very popular toys company that sells blind boxes. If you haven't yet experienced a blind box before, I encourage you to search up Pop Mart or go to one of their physical locations. It is a very addictive experience because in all of these little toys, when you open up this box, you never really know what is the toy or figurine that's inside. So on its online store, though, when I open this app up or open the store, it looks like this. And when my niece opens the store, it looks like the picture on the right. And she's decades younger than me. So the brand knows that I watched Toy Story as a kid and can connect better with this cartoon versus my niece, who knows this other cartoon called Sweet Bean a lot better. Personalization enables us to create a stronger connection with our customers. It allows a store to shapeshift itself into something that will stick with the end customer. And that's the ultimate crux of personalization. What runs behind these machine learning algorithms is generally this framework. Not only do we take into account someone's age, income, location, family condition, but also psychological preferences, consumer behavior. Maybe two consumers are the same age, the same income, live in the same family, and have the same family condition, but they still might prefer different things. And recently, we've seen something called hyper-personalization, where a shopping app can show you different things, not just based on who you are, but based on when you open the app and where you're opening it. Because again, the context changes. So for instance, An Amazon or an online grocery store could be showing me breakfast items if I'm turning on this app in the morning. Maybe they're showing me, I don't know, night masks for me to try out if it's at night. If I'm turning on this app, opening somewhere around the office, maybe they're showing me office products. If I'm at home, maybe they're showing me furniture items or something more related to my home. Victoria's Secret is very good at doing this in their email marketing campaigns, where they are shape-shifting themselves based on who is opening their emails. And of course, as customers, especially if I'm looking at a fashion item, if that model more so looks like me, I'm probably more likely to stay and interact with this piece of content for a bit longer than if you were to show someone who looks completely different from me. Last, I'm sure you've been playing around with generative AI. Let me know your favorite generative AI tool in the chat, especially what you're playing around with or experimenting with recently. The difference here between generative AI and machine learning is that generative AI is able to create net new pieces of content, such as text or images or audio or video that's not directly derived from existing data, but instead generated based on patterns. And here are its 6 major use cases. If any of these touch your role, then you might find generative AI to be useful in your job too. So as marketers, if you're finding yourself summarizing large pieces of content and needing to abbreviate it into some sort of more condensed format, if you're retrieving a certain piece from a large database, if you're transforming something, say you have a product photo with a certain color background, and you're trying to transform that color into from a blue to a red background, or say you're going through some sort of campaign or sales season, and you have to change it from Black Friday to now Christmas. That's something that we call transformation. Augmentations, for example, a product detail page, or when you're writing up a product detail page and you have these certain bullet points, but you want to make it more descriptive, or maybe, I don't know, you're selling this to mothers, so you want it to be more relevant to your end customer reading it. So maybe you have a set of bullet points that you typically use, but now you're transforming this body of text so that a mother can more easily understand you. We have next Q&A dialogue, so that's in the format of chatbots and virtual assistants, which really help with raising your average order value, and I'll definitely talk about that in a bit. Or creating net new pieces of content, then generative AI is for you. So that last pillar is one where I also have a QR code at the end of this presentation that you can scan and download, and also play with some of the tools that I'm talking about. So this last pillar, let me show you just how fast this last pillar of generative AI is evolving. So a year ago, we asked AI to give us a video of Will Smith eating spaghetti. And this is dated March 28th, 2023 from the ModelScope text-to-video generator. And this is what AI gave us. Now you can say that this footage is a little demonic looking, to say the least. No spaghetti brand or any brand or restaurant brand for that matter can use this type of content in their actual marketing. But now, a year later, and this is dated February 19th, 2024, AI is able to give us something like this. Now, this was not actually shot in Tokyo. There were no directors, cinematographers, or staging, or any of the background actors that you see. It was created simply via a prompt by OpenAI's Sora prompt-to-video product. And just a couple of months ago, an artist collaborated with the Sora team at OpenAI to create a whole music video. Now, I must warn you, there's actually a minor mishap with this AI-generated video where the girl is standing by the door, but see if you can spot what's missing and let me know in the chat. Did you figure out what was missing? So when there was a girl who stood at the door like this, she had no arms. I don't know if you noticed. So it just goes to say that even though these prompt-to-video tools are indeed improving themselves and iterating into better and better versions, it's still imperfect. Now, generative AI is also stretching its arms into something called live streaming. Live streaming is a very common way of selling a product in China. It's actually a $470 billion industry there. But it's slowly creeping its way into the rest of the world. I actually used to manage one of China's first live stream rooms in Los Angeles, and we have come a long way since then. So, don't know if you know who this woman's name is on screen, but her name is Michelle Pham. Any Michelle Pham fans in the house? I call her an OG YouTuber because she really was one of the first influencers who taught millions of women how to do their makeup. And she went quiet for a while, but very recently she came out to a TikTok where she started live streaming her cosmetics brand.
I should have thought.
Good luck. Shade matching. I don't even know my shade.
All right, hold it up.
Okay.
I don't know. Let's see. I haven't tried the tattoo one. So let's just see. I'm curious myself.
Yeah. This is supposed to be light to medium buildable.
Yeah. Light to medium buildable. Okay.
Oh,
Not bad.
One
Wow.
layer.
That's just, and that was a really thin layer.
So that was her live streaming and showing off her product. And yes, that was a real person. Now, check out this live stream instead, where this is developed by a company called Silicon Intelligence, who uses real humans to train an avatar to also live stream. Now, you might ask, why would someone do that? Well, if you think about a real streaming host or a real person, this person could get tired. She might say the wrong thing, forget her script. There's a million things that can happen. But an avatar overrides all of that. And just look at how closely this resembles a real person.
水油同补的一个技术，就不仅给你补油，而且给你补水，而且最关键的是什么？直接给你补充胶原蛋白。其实人在刚出生的时候，脸上呢是含有70%的胶原蛋白，但是随着年龄的增长，25岁以后，所有的人胶原蛋白都开始加速流失。30岁、40岁、50岁，年龄越大，流失的速度越快，流失的量也越多。所以这个。
TikTok will actually enable some of its influencers to train their own avatar very soon. So pay attention to some of your favorite influencers next time you are on TikTok. It actually might just be their avatar. So there you have it, our 3 major AI trends in e-commerce. As Albert Einstein once said, if you always do what you always did, then you will get what you've always got. So I'd encourage you to take a look at these trends and see which one of them could improve your business in the next few years. Now, who's getting pumped for the holiday season? In all of my keynotes, I also share this thing called the e-commerce equation as a useful way to measure success if you run an e-commerce store. Actually, this equation is relevant not only if you sell a physical product, but also if you cater to a service as well, because any website deals with these metrics. Every website has some sort of revenue or has some sort of revenue generation mechanism where it's represented by GMV. Every website has traffic going to it. Every website has some sort of average order value, and that means the average amount of basket size that somebody is checking out. And every website has a conversion rate. So for instance, if we're sending 100 people to your website and 5 people buy something, you have a 5% conversion rate. If we're sending 100 people to your website, only 1 person converts, then you have a 1% conversion rate. So every website, also every e-commerce store will have these metrics. Every industry, every category will also have their average numbers for these things as well. And if you are an e-commerce owner, I do encourage you to try to find what is the average industry rate, as well as what is your competitor's rate, and to find out your own metric for these numbers and compare and contrast with all of them. So the rest of following these slides, I'll go through all 3 of these metrics one by one, and also share how we can use some of these generative AI tools to increase our engagement in all 3 factors. So first, we have traffic. And when we talk about traffic, we usually divide it into 2 sectors. One is called push, where we're pushing our product to our customers. And the other is pull, where we're trying to pull our customers to us. Push traffic might be something like Google ads or Facebook ads. And you can use something like WordStream to optimize your ad spend. There's also another way, which is email marketing. So every website, whether you're an e-commerce owner or you're selling a service of some sort, you'll also have your own email list. And this email list serves as your customer database of people that you can retarget to bring back into your store, whether they have an abandoned cart and you're trying to send them a message to bring them back into your store, or maybe you're launching a new product and you want to tell all of these customers that I'm launching a new product. A great tool here, obviously, is Mailchimp. And then there are AI writing tools like Jasper to help you write some of that copy. And once again, this is where generative AI tool can step in to make your tone funnier or punchier, because not all of us are excellent English majors. Not all of us know the best words or the trendiest things to write about, but we can use the help of AI and leverage what they know to aid us. And then on the pull side, this is where you have tools like Surfer SEO that uses AI to optimize your SEO strategy based on the current most searched words. Also, within this pull side of direct search, AI has lots to do with something that's changing the search game. So let me know in the chat how many of you are using an LLM of some sort, like a ChatGPT, a Gemini, or Claude to start your searches. I recently polled my LinkedIn audience, where you can find me, by the way, on where they're starting their searches. And I was surprised with my results, because over 30% of the people said that they have started to use a LLM to start off their search versus a traditional search engine like Google. And this is where a new term in marketing is starting to form, called AEO, and it stands for Answer Engine Optimization. As our search behavior turns from this into that, we're also turning from an SEO world to an AEO world. So we all know what SEO stands for, search engine optimization, and it's really shaped the way we've built our websites to enable it to shoot up in search result ranks. Because within the e-commerce world, that's still the largest source of traffic of how someone is finding an e-commerce store. But now we're entering this age of potentially AEO domination, where a lot of these answer engines is the way for a lot of traffic to approach a store. So Perplexity is an example of an LLM that's doubling down in the e-commerce space as they noticed their users doing more searches for products. I was recently trying to find a durable phone case, and this is what actually Perplexity gave me. So as you can see, they definitely scraped the web to find some durable phone cases, and I was presented with several options. Now, you might be asking, how do I then, as a website or an e-commerce seller, how do I get to show up in these LLMs, especially as more and more of these searches are coming from them? Well, there's 4 major ways, and I'll go through all 4 of them. So the first is structuring your content around a FAQ. Do you even have an FAQ on your website? Because as the customer is trying to search for this particular product that your product might cater to, they're going to ask a question in extreme detail to get to that answer. So think in the shoes of your customer. What type of question are they asking, so that you can write that on your website to then lure them on your website. And those are some of the questions that you want to have in your FAQ. Number 2, using long tail keywords. So as we're entering this age, where instead of searching for simple and short keywords in a traditional search engine, more and more users are describing their situations with a lot of detail. And they're also using natural language. So there's a difference between a technical search term versus a natural language. So the normal way where I'm talking right now. So as a website, try to make sure that you're capturing that type of intent and using those long tail keywords and being very specific and also natural language. Third, using structured data. So as LLMs scrape the web, they understand a website most easily when the website is using a schema markup. And finally, getting backlinks from high-quality websites. Do you run a blog of some sort? Are you doing some sort of content generation? Make sure that you're backlinking to some very high-quality, high-ranking websites so the web or these LLMs know that what you're producing or what you're writing in content is backed by these high-quality websites. If you look at Walmart, they are very quick to move and adjust their product in this LLM search term current trend. Walmart has started to make this shift in their mobile app. So say if you're hosting a party for a Super Bowl and there's 20 people, instead of searching for chips and looking through your options of chips, then soda, and looking through your options of soda, then maybe, I don't know, party hats, and looking through those options, Walmart allows you to describe your full context. And here, this person has written, help me plan a football watch party for 20 people. Walmart then creates this basket of items for you to then approve and buy. Now, you really might find LLMs to be an interesting traffic source, especially if you don't have a huge marketing budget like some of those very large brands. It could be a way for you as a new brand or lesser known brand to really override results of a larger brand just because you have a website that's more AEO optimized. Now, back to our e-commerce equation because we're moving on to our next pillar, which is AOV. And what does AOV mean? It's simply understood, AOV means how do I get my customer to buy more from me? So it stands for average order value. So on average, how much are you selling to your customer per time? Simply understood, it's like going to McDonald's and ordering a Big Mac and then being asked, would you like fries with that? And sooner or later, you're leaving with the whole meal. So that means thinking of bundling and creating different combos of SKUs. Do you sell drinks, for instance? Have you thought of creating variations like 24 packs or 48 packs or 72 packs? Are you creating gift baskets for different holidays? Are you offering a free gift of some sort after hitting a certain threshold? This is Halara. If you have ever met them shopping or shopping on TikTok Shop, they're really good at increasing their customers' AOV. And this says that I can get another gift and that I'm about $34 away of spending before I can get another gift from them. Now, perhaps the best way of increasing AOV is implementing a chatbot that acts as a sales guide for your customer. And a really good one and a very cost-effective one for SMB users is called Finn from Intercom. Only 9% of online stores all over the world have set up chatbots on their websites, but they boost e-commerce revenue by about 7 to 25%. And in about 20% of those use cases, chatbots are used for upselling. So don't miss out on this super valuable tool for your website. All right, next up, we have conversion. We can send all the traffic to your site, but if they're not converting, then dollars are not entering your wallet. So what converts? A big one is good imagery. And this is why some brands spend a huge amount of money in making their product look aesthetically pleasing. Canva is a great free tool, or they have a free tier, for quick editing some of your product photos. And I hear that we have also a session coming up that's surrounding all about Canva and how it integrates with Mailchimp. A new one I just learned about, I just returned from a conference last week called Co-Create in Vegas. It's held by Alibaba, and they introduced this new tool called Pick Copilot. And Pick Copilot is a photo editing tool where they've used millions of data points in learning what type of background image converts best with what category of product, and created a design tool to help brand owners with their design needs. So that's also another one that you can check out. But what converts best is moving images like videos. InVideo is a great prompt to video tool for you to gather some footage if you were to create short videos or reels for your content. And what's even better with conversion is live streaming, and we already saw this demoed earlier. Did you know that the average conversion rate for a live stream shopping event is 9% compared to 2.5% for traditional e-commerce? And that's because a human-to-human interaction is the fastest way to create trust. And that's what we want to do as e-commerce owners. How do we create trust in a very fast fashion? Because trust is the thing that converts. And we have evolved in the world of e-commerce, from still photos to social commerce to videos to being live. So that's why live streaming is really taking off within the e-commerce space. Finally, how do you know when something is working? Remember to go back to look at those metrics and look at your before and after. What type of metrics is actually going up and going down after implementing one of these tools? Take a note of those 4 metrics and take a note of what they are before you're eliciting the help of one of these tools and after. Also, take note of what is your traffic level on an average day? What's your AOV on an average day? What's your conversion rate on an average day? Knowing to compare a before and after will help you measure what's actually changing. And once again, also remember to compare these metrics with your competitors as well as what's in the industry. So being culture fluid, and this is something that I talk about very often in business workshops and trainings, it means having the courage to approach things differently. It's about asking what's happening in my store now, and then identifying new tools that could enhance store operations. And to be culture fluid is to remain open to experimenting with these tools, merging our current practices with new opportunities. All right, now we're getting to the framework section of this presentation, where we're talking about how to distinguish between what's truly important versus what's just noise. Now, you might have seen the Eisenhower matrix when it comes to organizing a to-do list. So using the same idea, we can create this for e-commerce. Because sometimes you might feel overwhelmed with the constant release of these new tools and the flood of headlines that's coming your way. And how do you decide what to actually implement? Well, here is a very useful framework that you can potentially use. So let's break it down. On the x-axis, we have impact, and on the y-axis, we have effort. And you'll notice that this matrix splits into 4 different quadrants. So we have things that are low impact, high effort, high impact, high effort, low impact, low effort, and high impact and low effort. So for things that are low impact, high effort, these tasks won't move the needle that much, but still demand considerable effort. So maybe they're not very worth your time. There are things that are high impact, but very high effort. These tasks will significantly boost your GMV, but they also require a lot of effort. So maybe consider investing in that. There are things that are low impact and low effort. These are easy to do, but the return is minimal. So you can get to these when you have time. And then in the last quadrant, high impact and low effort. This is the sweet spot where there's big gains with very little effort. These are the tasks that you want to tackle right away. Now, if you have a long to-do list, and as e-commerce owners, I know that you do have 40 to 50 tasks every single day. There's customers shouting at you from customer service requests. There's returns that you have to handle as a one-man or one-woman shop. There's new products that you want to launch. There's social media content that you got to create. And with all of that, you still have to learn about all of these new things that's happening in AI. So I recommend listing out all of the tasks that you have to do in a day on sticky notes and plopping it on these quadrants so that you have a visual version of this matrix. And if you use sticky notes to categorize each task into one of these 4 quadrants, then you'll know exactly what to do first and what to do a bit later. So for so on the left, you want to delete tasks that are low impact, high effort. For high impact, high effort tasks, invest wisely, plan for them. Low impact, low effort tasks can be scheduled when convenient, and of course, jump straight into those high impact and low effort tasks. As marketers, especially during a busy sales season, it's easy to focus on deadlines and urgency. But instead of working based on due dates, I encourage you to prioritize things based on impact. Now, with all of this AI happening, you might also be wondering, are we going to be replaced? And as a keynote speaker, I get asked this all the time from office workers to business owners, from designers to e-commerce managers. So I like to borrow this very viral internet meme and ask, will this be our future org chart? Will that CEO be a human and every other thing is an AI tool? Let me know in the chat. But I encourage you to think about integrating with AI in a healthier way in this method. So we can all encourage everyone to think about dividing their role, whether it's an e-commerce manager or a sales manager or a marketing manager, that you divide your role into a series of tasks and looking at which tasks are super repetitive and which require a lot of creativity. For instance, if you find yourself writing product descriptions over and over, then that's a very repetitive task that you might want to consider outsourcing and automating. On the other hand, tasks like solving a customer issue or in a course of negotiation needs a lot of human creativity and problem solving. And those are the parts that we want to double down or hone in for our skill sets. Many companies now are building AI agents to handle these repetitive tasks. A startup called Artisan, for example, has created agents for many different arenas, for sales teams, marketing teams, as well as customer service. In Silicon Valley, where I used to live, a whole sales rep can cost as much as hundreds of thousands of dollars. And some startups or companies are very cash strapped. So this is a great way for them to expand their team without hiring for a whole headcount. So as we move forward, we'll see more and more teams be supported by AI agents that manage these repetitive tasks, allowing us to focus on high value and creative work. So this might actually be a more realistic org chart of the future where there are our human leaders, but definitely some agents around certain teams that support us in certain tasks. And being culture fluid means thinking about different ways and thinking about doing things differently. The more proactive you become in trying to displace yourself, so in that task exercise, you'll realize that the more agency you'll have as a professional is when you are proactively thinking about what part of my job can I outsource and what part of my job I'm gonna double down in and hone in my skill set. So, as we head into this age of automation, are we, in summation, being culture fluid is about daring to do something differently. So as we head into this AI-driven future, will we have the day where the drone is going to deliver us a product without us ever having to order it from an app and drop it right at our doorstep? Well, we don't really know at this moment. But no matter what speed we are developing in, it's important to remember these three things. The first is to engage in continuous learning, because the AI world is constantly iterating. Just look at how quickly we evolved from the Will Smith eating spaghetti to the shot in Tokyo to now a whole music video being generated. Two, to trying new things and seeing how your e-commerce equation and those metrics are evolving. So is your traffic, and is your AOV, and is your conversion rate changing? And how are they changing? And remembering to comparing those metrics with your competitors and the industry average to see where you're at. And three, realizing that change has always been the constant. We've always had a change in the type of jobs that were out there. And just remember that there are also a lot of roles that we simply can't fathom today. So we don't even know what upcoming new roles there's going to be in the future. So if you want a copy of a lot of those AI tools I talked about today, go ahead and scan this QR code, and I'll actually pause for a moment so that you can grab your phone and and scan this code, because hopefully within this code you'll find a lot of useful information, concepts that I talked about, tools that you can start to use that maybe will help you in your e-commerce journey. Also, I'm also the host of a podcast called B2B Breakthrough, where I interview 7-figure to 9-figure e-commerce experts bi-weekly on my podcast, where we discuss everything from product selection to AI trends. And if you are a first-time e-commerce seller, you might really find this podcast to be useful, because I also try to break down how these entrepreneurs got into their business. And a lot of them actually come from the corporate space and they're trying to break into e-commerce. So maybe that will also be helpful for you. If you want to talk about something that I didn't mention in this presentation, here are also my socials on LinkedIn and Instagram. On LinkedIn, I also run a newsletter called Culture Fluid, where I share best practices for marketers in this AI age. A lot of the new tools that I've seen and heard throughout the industry, I usually will condense them and write about them and share them through that newsletter. And thank you so much for this session, and I'm super excited to take some live Q&A. So our first question is, how do you use AI without alienating skeptical clients and customers? I love that question because I'm skeptical myself. Sometimes on TikTok, I follow the influencers and videos that I follow, and once in a while there's this content that comes up that I'm like, I think this is AI generated. Or sometimes I'm perusing on LinkedIn and I'm reading this article and I'm like, I don't think this person has that great of a grammar, or this sounds a little too polished. And I think that's very, very important to sort of keep in mind, which is how do you still be authentic in this time of AI? And I think a lot of customers really can't be fooled. So what I always say is AI is there to sort of, you can use as a launch pad. So you'll really see your work speed for your work accelerate. So the difference between an e-commerce owner who's using a lot of AI tools and building their business off of it, and people who are not, you'll see that things are indeed being done faster on the side for those people who are using a lot of those AI tools. And so, but sometimes speed does not equal to quality, and I think this is something to highlight. I often talk about this example of Starbucks. So back in the day when Starbucks first came out, we had mom and pop coffee stores, and they were okay. Starbucks came out, we instantly all dove for Starbucks. We liked that customized, coffee in a box kind of feeling. It was same no matter which location you went, and they always just asked for your name, wrote it on a cup, serve it to you in less than 2 minutes, and we really liked that automation. But a few years later, you'll start to see these artisanal coffee shops started to spring up again. And these people, there's a huge group of customers who went from that being enthralled by the Starbucks automated experience to this artisanal, slower to make. You have to sit and patiently wait there. Sometimes the lines also for these coffee shops are so long, but as a customer, you're willing to wait there. And so now you see that that flow back to things being slow. So I think that's where you have to find and strike a balance as a business owner. Is yes, you want your business to run efficiently, so you want to use things to automate a lot of things, but as you are producing your product or service, what part of the human element is still embedded in that product? Because what will ultimately sell isn't that automation. What will ultimately sell is if you can connect to your customer. If your customer knows about your brand story or your brand ethos, that's what keeps you there as a brand, and that's what keeps you there as a business. So, right there with you, with the being skeptical part. Our next question. Can you talk a little bit more about what answer engine optimization is? Yes, it is a very new term. So other than AEO, another very synonymous term is AIO, and both are similar. So we all know about SEO, right? That's search engine optimization. There are a ton of marketing agencies. Their sole job, and there's a ton of AI tools where their sole job is to optimize your website. So what keywords are you writing on your website so that you can rank higher? So that if, for instance, I'm searching for glasses, and there are certain glasses stores, glasses websites, glasses products that's littered around the web. How can they answer to my inquiry? In the SEO world, we've done a lot of things in our content to optimize our website to show up first on Google, or to be on the first page on Google. In the AEO world, and it's a very different world in that there's something that I always like to tell my audience about that big difference, if you just imagine or think about that shift, is this. In the SEO world, where you search for something, you're reading through pages and you're looking at website after website after website to get to your ultimate answer. So that means you, as a user, you're swimming through pages and pages of website until you are amalgamating the answer yourself. It's sort of like digging for the answer and formulating the answer yourself, versus in an AEO world where the answer is sort of directly given to you. And so the example that I had with what Perplexity has been doing, so if you have tried out the ChatGPTs, the Geminis, the Claudes, I encourage you to try out this tool called Perplexity. You'll notice that this tool is a tiny bit different than some of the other ones in the way that their answers are produced for the end user. They are a lot more prescriptive with giving their answers. They're also very good about sourcing. So right beside every sentence, there's certain numbers that you can click on and see exactly where they got that answer from. So that's a world of Perplexity. But what Perplexity is doing is it's doing a lot of experiments within e-commerce because it's noticed that a lot of their users are searching for products to buy on Perplexity. So in the example that I showed with the phone case, I typed into Perplexity, I wanted to buy a durable iPhone case, and it gave me certain results. So Perplexity is already shaping their product into one where they can show you certain choices for this iPhone case, almost similar to how an Amazon would show you these e-commerce links on an Amazon search page. And that is the big difference that AEO is creating, because in this AEO world, products are directly given to you. They're right in front of you for you to click through and browse and then buy. Whereas in the SEO world, you as a user had to search through different websites and sift through all of that information. Now, so I'm a keynote speaker and I write a lot. So something that recently even happened to me was this big shift from SEO to AEO. So normally when I'm speaking at a conference of some sort, I usually ask the event organizer, how did you find me? Usually they say, oh, I was following you on LinkedIn, or I heard you from somebody else, or I saw you before. A couple of weeks ago, I got this answer that was super interesting, which was they said, I found you through ChatGPT. And I said, huh, that's interesting. So so this person had a buying intent, of course, or wanted to find me and my services, and they found me through creating a prompt, and this person showed me the very long paragraph prompt, and sure enough, a lot of the things on my website answered to exactly what her prompt wanted. And so that's what I meant by the 4 examples or 4 ways that you can also have your website or e-commerce site show up in an LLM. I think it's also a great time for these smaller brands, especially if you're starting out new and you're just building up your content base. You're really at a prime time where you can shape all of your digital content that lives on your site to be very AEO oriented. Because what I'm noticing is when people are searching through that answer engine, they are pulling from very well backlinked websites, but also they are showing websites that have those long tail keywords that use natural language that they're pulling from and showing the end user as an answer. So I think it's definitely something that is going to change the search industry, and it's going to change a lot of the ways that we as marketers look at websites. Check out, or to read more, feel free to find me on LinkedIn, because I actually wrote an entire article just on AEO and how to optimize AEO. But that's also a very observant question that you asked. All right, so the next question is, what would be examples of high impact, low effort? I understand it will differ depending on the industry, but any examples we could use for inspiration? Yes. So very recently, I went to this conference called Co-Create. where they showed off a tool called Pick Copilot. So Pick Copilot is something that is derived from a lot of Alibaba e-commerce platforms. So if you know about AliExpress, if you know about Alibaba.com, if you know about Lazada in Southeast Asia, Trendyol in Turkey, and there's a myriad of different e-commerce platforms that Alibaba as a company has created throughout the years. In the creation of these e-commerce platforms, there's obviously, entirely as a company, it runs about a couple of billion SKUs. That's a lot of SKUs. The average e-commerce seller maybe has around 100 maximum to sell, but a billion SKUs is a lot to manage. What also follows that billion number of SKUs is the amount of design work that's part of it. So there are also a lot of campaigns that a lot of the internal e-commerce managers within the company have to manage. And I remember one time, this was now maybe 7 years ago, when we were preparing for a campaign. Usually when we prepare for a campaign, we hire a design agency to assist us in the redesign of a lot of these SKUs. So when it's campaign season, say it's Christmas season and it's a Christmas sale, we want, maybe we're selling, I don't know, mugs. We want the background to be a Christmas tree because it's Christmas themed and we want to be festive and closer to the theme. Or maybe we're selling a baby product. Instead of just having the product on just a plain white background, which is pretty boring, you want it to be used by a model, maybe a mother, you want some toddlers around it. Anything to make this product more alive in front of a customer's eyes are things that we would hire these designers to design and do. And so this product was introduced internally where a lot of calculations were done on the back end. So if, for instance, we are looking at that mug, did that mug sell best when we placed a Christmas tree behind it? Or did it sell best when we placed a, I don't know, Santa behind it? Or did it sell best when somebody was picking up the mug and drinking from it? So we have 3 different pictures, 3 different scenarios, and these are all things that if you have a huge A/B testing team, marketing team to help test for, like some of those larger brands, that's easy for them to do. But what if you were a smaller shop? What if you were just one person? What if you don't even have a huge marketing team behind you? What if you are the business owner and you still want to use this method to test? So that was the impetus of the product, is it amalgamated all of those data points. So on a per category basis, so no matter if you're selling mugs or baby products or pet toys or plants for that matter, the certain type of visuals that would work best or pair best with that particular product. And that is something I would say that is very high impact and low effort to use, because instead of employing an external design agency to help you do this, employing a huge marketing agency to help you do this, you can simply use a tool like this to help you with some of these things. So our last question, what are top 3 things we need to prioritize in using AI? So that is the concept of being culture fluid, and it's something that I talk about day in and day out, and what it means, especially when it comes to a business arena. The gist is, first, there's 3 pillars. So the first is to continuously learn. And I understand that sometimes it could be very overwhelming. There's already this term out there called AI fatigue, where there's this demo and that demo, and you just can't sort of catch up with all of the things that are happening. It feels like you're drinking from a fire hose, and I totally understand that. And I think sometimes when that happens, just turn off some of those those headlines for a moment and concentrate back onto what your core business is. Look back at those 3 metrics again: the traffic, the conversion, and the AOV, and ask yourself, what are the core things that I can do to just uptick these 3 metrics? Ignore the AI for a second. Just look at those metrics first. But of course, there are things that are constantly happening, and I think it is important to continuing to learn. The second is to try a lot of these things, because going back to that equation, the more things you try, the more that equation will go up or down, and that's how you'll shape your business in the right way. And then lastly, just to realize that change is always the constant. And I think once we realize and accept the fact that things will constantly be changing, you will always have competitors. You might not be the #1 brand or whatever in your industry, and knowing that that's okay, and knowing that your business can still thrive even though you're not at the top of your game, or that there's new competitors coming out every day. Just keeping calm, cool, and collected is something that I think will also help you. And with that, thank you so much for having me. And those were excellent questions, by the way. Feel free to find me on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and have a very good end of the year sales season.
See, automation is no longer a scary word, thanks to Sharon and her talk. In the spirit of improving efficiency, next up is a skills builder session that will help our Mailchimp marketers who also use Canva simplify their work streams. There are some exciting integrations that can help elevate your marketing campaigns, and our senior strategic partnerships manager, Michael Wong, and solutions engineer, Justin Nygaard, will show you how. Plus, one of our talented product designers, Michelle Feige, she's going to join to give them some pointers about email design and, of course, answer your questions.